So a very warm welcome to all of our audiences. Today we are graced with the presence of Dr. Raymond Choy, who will be giving his insight into the digital healthcare ecosystem. So Dr. Raymond, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Joe, for having me today. Hi, nice to meet everyone. My name is Raymond from Talk to Us.
All right. So I think before we begin, it's only fair that we got to learn a little bit more about Dr. Raymond. So allow me to give the audience a proper introduction. So Dr. Raymond Choy actually specializes in both family and aviation medicine, and he is an alumnus of the International Medical University. In 2003, he graduated from the University of Manchester, UK, with a Bachelor of Medicine and Bachelor of Surgery. He also received medical training at John Radcliffe Hospital in Oxford, UK, for over 3 years, and then pursued his career as a physician leader in the Raffles Medical Group, Singapore, in 2012. And this is where he actually managed the 24-hour Changi International Airport cluster, where he oversaw operations for all of the cluster clinics. So Dr. Raymond Choy is someone who is passionate about public healthcare, and evidenced by his shirt that he's wearing now, he actually co-founded Doc2Us and incorporated the company under the name Hey Doc International Sendirian Berhad in April 2015. So we'd love to hear more about what he's done with Doc2Us. So Dr. Raymond, I guess we can start off with our first question, which is about our topic today. So in your opinion, what exactly is the digital healthcare ecosystem? And what would you say are the core elements that build up the ecosystem?
Okay, thanks, Joe, for the very thorough introduction of us, right? If you look at digital healthcare, these two words, right? And obviously, it consists of healthcare side, which is a healthcare segment, and the digital side. The digital, probably we're talking about using of technology to enable the whole healthcare delivery, right? But when it comes to digital healthcare ecosystem, that means it encompasses all the stakeholders within the ecosystem of digital healthcare. In this case, we are talking about the 5 Ps here. So in the digital healthcare ecosystem, we cannot run away from the first P, which is our patient. Right? Without patient, who are you going to serve, right? So patient, and second P is providers, right? So providers, we talk about healthcare providers. It could be doctors, nurses, right? Any healthcare professionals. So that's the second P within the ecosystem or digital healthcare ecosystem. The third P is a policy maker within this digital, healthcare ecosystem. Digital healthcare is something very new. So hence, policymaker is very important to provide the guidelines, right, and the regulations on what is the do and what is the don't in this space, because ultimately healthcare is a heavily regulated industry, and at the same time, it's the most complex industry, right? So hence, this space needs to be regulated. So that's the third P we're talking about. The fourth P is a lot of times we actually ignore will be the payer, right? In the healthcare ecosystem, be it digital or non-digital, there's always a payer. Who is a payer? It could be out of pocket from the patients, from the consumers. It could be from the insurers. It could be from the government subsidy, right? And things like that, right? Or it could be from the company, right? For those corporate employees, right? So payer, who is going to pay for this bill, right? Of these digital healthcare services, for instance. And the last P, when it comes to digital healthcare ecosystem, the last P is the platform owner or the platform provider. Right? When we talk about platform, it could be the digital platform, it could be a software, a system, right? Or an app or a website, right? So this is the platform, right? So in my opinion, this will be the 5 Ps that actually make up of the the digital healthcare ecosystem. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, Doctor. I think the 5 Ps beautifully summed up what is the healthcare ecosystem. So I assume the last P, the platform, is where you come in with Doc2Us. So perhaps you can share with the audience a little bit more on what is Doc2Us and perhaps some of your motivations that led you to start Doc2Us.
Okay, thanks very much. That's a very good question. So Doc2Us, I'm sure with a lot of healthcare related students or professionals here, you will agree with me because as a medical practitioner myself, often we are approached by our, friends, family, and or relatives, right, about the medical related questions, right? So they'll come to you, or during Hari Raya or festival season, doc, what is this, what is that, right? Or they give you a call, or they send you a text, I've been having this, who should I see? So they're asking a lot of this general inquiry about healthcare, right? So it just got me thinking one day that, what if those people without such privilege to know Joel or yourself or Bowen, right? Or any doctors, right? Where do they get the information from, right? So do they go to the clinic or hospital to ask information? Maybe not. Or do they go to Google or to ask? May not be relevant or personalized to their needs, right? So hence, naively, we thought, why don't we create a simple platform where we actually can provide a middle platform that actually can enhance the healthcare providers and the patient to stick together and to communicate in the most safe environment virtually, right? So that's how we got started back in 2015. And of course, that also be contributed by my late dad, who actually was very ill with the terminal disease. And at the time, I was so privileged that to gain access to different hospitals and all this, right, to help my dad to go through the chemotherapy process and all this. And all this really contribute to me thinking, what if those people without such privilege, right? So hence, we want to create a platform so that we can connect the both ends, right? And that is as simple as that, how we created back in 2015. And we launched Doc to Us app, which is a telemedicine app that enable the patient to consult the doctors online and get advisory or diagnosis, treatment or medication delivery, so on and so forth, right? And to the patients. And that was launched in 2017. And why we call Doc to Us? Simply because we want patients to talk to us. It sounds like talk to us. That's why we call it Doc to Us. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Raymond. I think, it's a brilliant idea of bringing doctors and patients closer together. And I think it's a very convenient tool also, because to think of actually going to a clinic, some may not like that idea. So, just picking up the phone and getting individualized information. Yeah, I think that's a really great idea. So I'm sure when you came up with the idea of Doc to Us, you must have realized that I want to bring patients closer together to doctors to talk to us, and it's going to be digital as well. So I'd just like to know your opinions on the general progress in terms of advancement towards like a patient-centralized digital healthcare system.
Yep. Brilliant question. Digital healthcare system is very new, even until today in this region, right? As compared to the States. When we first started in 2017, we were aiming for the consumer segment. In the business term, we call it B2C, which is a business to consumer. So in a way, the consumer will come to the platform, pay the doctors for the service online, right? So we thought it will work because, you and I, we experienced so much of, inquiries coming in. When we opened to the market naively, we thought it would definitely work, right? But obviously, we were a few steps ahead of the general population. In Malaysia, accessibility to healthcare is not really a big problem because you see clinics and hospitals everywhere, right? So hence, we hit a big, a bottleneck back in 2017 that time. So the transaction or the traction was quite low. So hence, we had to pivot, right? We understand the patient's mentality or even the healthcare providers' mindset. They are not there yet for virtual healthcare services, right? So we pivoted to B2B, which is business to business. We as a business entity, we provide the solution to the business entity. In this case, we study pharmacy business, right? So we work with pharmacy chain to see actually there are a lot of points in the pharmacy network, right? Where, a lot of patients walk into pharmacy getting medication without prescription. So how can we, provide solution, provide doctors online in every single pharmacy outlet, provide an e-prescription system to them. So that's how we actually pivoted and evolved ourselves to pharmacy solution. And then subsequently, from pharmacy solution, we work with the corporates, insurer, to really provide all these solutions to the corporate employees, to the workforce of Malaysia, so that they can actually refill the prescription through online, talk to the doctors online, engage with our doctors online. And till, COVID, we even evolved to become a virtual health advisory, right? And integrated with MySejahtera. So in your MySejahtera, we actually integrate under the digital health. So patient can actually go to, our virtual health advisory under Doc to Us and talk to them for free regarding any COVID-19 related matters. And this has been given ongoing from 2020 until today, right? And it's charged. And that is a brilliant example of adoption of digital healthcare, which is MySejahtera. And of course, one may argue this is by enforcement, right? You need to download MySejahtera. if you look at from the bright side, right, actually, to digitalize healthcare or this space, right, actually is feasible. That's why the regulator is very important to enforce this, right? People actually, even uncle, aunties are using that, MySejahtera. And MySejahtera is a great example of adoption of technology, right? So we evolved because the patient wasn't ready, healthcare providers were not ready, and we evolved and then study the market and slowly, and because people are more active on digital health and tremendous growth during this pandemic outbreak, right? And for instance, first year, our e-prescription, when we first started in 2017, we only have less than 500 e-prescription whole year, right? Subsequently, we grew from 500 to 5,000 plus in second year. That was because of pharmacy involvement and our first corporate client, Hong Leong Bank, who actually started exploring with us on their employees' medical benefits. And because of that, more and more corporate clients and pharmacy joined in. The subsequent year, we actually did about close to 90,000 e-prescription, right? And then 2020, because of COVID-19 hitting us, right? So we did about 232 e-prescription, 232,000 e-prescriptions. And last year we did 300 over 1,000 e-prescription, and it's growing. So to date, we have done more than 750,000 e-prescriptions. So every minute, as we speak right now, we are generating one e-prescription. So daily, we are generating about thousands over, electronic prescriptions nationwide. So that is the adoption. And in other countries, for instance, right, adoption of telemedicine, like for instance in China during this pandemic outbreak, right, it can go up to 900% growth. Like Ping An Good Doctor in China, they grew 900% in 2020, right? And for us, we grew more than 160% during this pandemic outbreak. So it's quite reassuring. It's how we actually can keep them afloat and utilize the digital health and providing hybrid care model to them, where online and offline work closely together. So this is a trend of the adoption or the behavior of our patient and healthcare providers in Malaysia that I can see.
All right, thank you, Dr. Raymond. So I think that's really great to see how Doctors has evolved from 500 a year to now so many, and like you mentioned, 1 minute per prescription. And it's also nice that you guys managed to evolve and overcome the challenges, moving from B to C to B to B. So just keeping in line with that, so as you mentioned, there are these 5 Ps of digital healthcare. So in your opinion, how can each of these elements, maybe what can they do in order to further nurture a digital healthcare ecosystem?
Okay. If you look at this healthcare ecosystem revolving the 5 P, the last P, the platform, is not only about the provider, the platform provider, but also including the infrastructure like the telco, the network, all this, right? So that's the provider side or the platform side. So in order to make this work, right, all these 5 Ps, they need to work closely together, understand each other's, the challenges, the strength of each other, so that we can come together and move this digital healthcare, industry to the next step, right? Because it's a very tough journey. Adoption is one of the challenges, and the regulation is also one of the challenges. Because if you look at our act, be it Medical Act or Poison Act, it was a 1952 Poison Act. Was it ready for today's technology? Maybe not, right? So we have to work around and work with the regulators, which is the third P, right? Policy maker. So the stakeholders, within the ecosystem need to work cohesively and collaboratively together, so that we can actually move this space and so that we can provide more values to the patient. So why are we having all this digital healthcare, solution? It's not for the sake of innovating it. It's really, about how we actually can provide a better, safer, cheaper, and surer kind of healthcare services to our patients, right? We need to keep improving. There's still a lot of pain points within our healthcare system, right? But with technology, leveraging on technology, it will help to improve, right? For instance, can we provide a faster healthcare services for patients, less waiting time, right? With appointment systems, so on and so forth. Or can we provide a surer medicine, which is without precision medicine, genetics, all this, right? Predictive, medicine. So there's so many things, the technology can help or enable the healthcare to move to a better healthcare tomorrow, So this is what we see. So all five stakeholders really need to work closely together to move this space. Yeah.
All right, thank you for that, Dr. Raymond. I think I myself am excited to see what healthcare will be like in the next 10 years, with the advent of AI and so on. Yeah, so it's great to see that. So, Dr. Raymond, since most of our audiences here will be future doctors one day, so as a future professional healthcare worker, from our view, what do you think our responsibility is, or what can we do to further nurture this digital healthcare ecosystem?
Yep. Of course, to all of you, who will be the future doctors and who will be looking after me and my cohort, right, in the future. So I think first is, get yourself graduated from medical school, right? So you need the knowledge and the clinical skill, that's for sure, right? But at the same time, do not confine yourself to what you have learned within the book, because outside the book, things are moving. In the technology world, every single second, things are moving. So be open, right, to all these changes, right? And because patients' behavior are changing, are evolving as well, right? So they know nowadays they no longer need to see the doctors face to face. There are other options, right? There are robotics, right? There are, virtual healthcare services bringing care to home, right? So when you're open to all these ideas and try to understand it, and if possible, try to upskill yourself, right? For instance, if you're interested in coding, why not go for coding, right? Outside your medical, right? So be open, learn more skill sets. That will help you to stay more relevant to today's and tomorrow's healthcare needs. Because if we look at our medical, studies, right, and it's quite not relevant to tomorrow's healthcare needs. Of course, the fundamental basic knowledge and the clinical skills, all these are relevant. But the behavior of the patients tomorrow will be different. So hence, for instance, I'll give an example. A lot of times, based on my time, we will never talk about EMR, right? Electronic medical record. We never thought about, seeing patients using computer. We always look at the face to face, right? And then we use a pen, right? But now we have to key in everything on the system, be it in the hospitals or the clinic. And this is a different skill set, because if you were not trained, it's going to be very tough. Because you look at the patient, you do not want to compromise the patient-doctor relationship, right? The kind of eye contact, all this, right? But how are you going to gain this skill set while typing and make it more efficient? Maybe 1 hour you're seeing 20 patients in clinical setting, you never know, right? So all these are new skill set. So my suggestion is be open, try to stay relevant to today's and tomorrow's technology. So in terms of technology, we talked about ABCD, right? So AI, which you mentioned before. Be open and try to understand about it, right? And B will be, blockchain technology or big data, right? So we are churning a lot of data every day, right? You're providing data input and output, but how can you make it more insightful, more predictive for your practice in the future, right? C, we're talking about cloud computing, right? So everything within cloud nowadays, you don't need a big server, right, in technology world. And D is definitely the data analytics. So this ABCD will be the future trend as we go. And of course, you have all these robotics, 3D printing, genetics, genome project. And it's just getting more and more exciting, but be open. This will be my suggestion. Yeah.
Thanks, Dr. Raymond. I think that was some sound advice personally for me, so it was very beneficial. So moving on in terms of the IR4 or the fourth industrial revolution, as we say. So what are your concerns on perhaps intellectual property and data privacy when it comes to like patients' data and all that?
Yeah, so this remains one of the concerns when the virtual healthcare providers are collecting so much of patients' data and medical record online. And so my take is actually, it's really about understanding the whole infrastructure and the ecosystem and make it as safe as possible, right? Comply to the minimum requirement at least, right, in terms of cybersecurity, because there's no way you can be 100% foolproof, because the hacker is always in front of you, and we are always being sort of like reactive. Even as good as Singapore government, there's always there was a leakage of the Prime Minister medical record, right? So there's no foolproof, and it's a matter of how you mitigate it, how fast you rectify the problem when that happens, right? Is your infrastructure, your system safe enough for the industry standard? We always talk about industry standard. So industry standard requires you to have this kind of system, this kind of compliances and processes in order to mitigate or to minimize the risk of cyber leakage, right? Or data breach, right? So if you have this, I think that is good enough. And of course, patients or users, sometimes they are very skeptical about this. The easier way out is not to go connected. The moment you got wired, you go connected, there's always a risk. It could be from your social medias, right? It could be from you visit the clinic, right? You are already connected to the cloud, right? So there's no 100% safe in this cyber environment, but it's a matter of how you manage it, how you understand it. So again, the responsibility not only falling to the platform provider, but also on the healthcare providers, as well as the patient themselves. Because the patient not managing their logins or this, right, and openly release it to other people or put it on the table, he or she is also be responsible to the data leakage of his medical record, right? So it has to be a collective responsibility from all the P's, actually, the 5 P's I talk about. Only then we can help to safeguard the data protection part and also to minimize all this data breach. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Raymond. Yeah. So I guess that's something that we always have to look out for, because it's always going to be there. So, Dr. Raymond, they usually say every ship should have a captain to steer the ship in the right direction. So when it comes to moving us into a digital healthcare ecosystem, who do you think should be the captain? Or should it be a team effort where everyone makes a collective decision? Or do you think that, a certain party should be at the forefront in order to better move the ship along its course?
I think that's a very good question, Joe. And in fact, it is also a very difficult question that you ask. It really depends on the perspective. You remember I talked about 5 P's? Mm-hmm. These 5 P's, actually, each of them can be the captain if you think about it, right? So, of course, a lot of people might think, the policymaker or the government should be the captain to drive this. Yes, I agree, right? But if there's no need or there's no pain point among the patients, right? No matter what you drive, no utilization, it doesn't work. Because patients themselves can be the captain, right? They can be the captain. Oh, this is what the patient nowadays they want. So they drive the innovation. They drive the creation of the innovation. So hence, it's really about the perspective of which angle you're looking at. If you look at the patient perspective, they can be the captain. If you look at the perspective of the provider, they can be the captain, because the provider will think, okay, I think this will provide a better healthcare, a surer, a safer to our patients, right? So they can be the driver at the driver's seat. It depends on the timing also sometimes and the perspective. So I would say, in my personal opinion, that all 5 P's can be the captain or the driver, even the payer themselves. Payer themselves might think, okay, I think this will be the most innovative way to bring down the cost of our healthcare to 50%, for instance. Then they will come up with all these solutions, innovations, this will help, right? And the other 4 P's will just, study, I think we will follow this, right? So that can be the captain. So it really depends on the situation, the timing, and also the perspective that we're looking at. So all 5 P's can be the captain. I'm not sure if I answered your question well, but this is what I see. Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Doctor. Yeah, I think that's a good way of looking at it as well. So I think we're coming to the end of our podcast here, and I've already learned so much. So I would just like to know, as we proceed in the future, what are your aspirations and goals, and or perhaps where do you see doctors, or what more can doctors achieve in the future?
Yeah. For us, we started this with a vision to improve health and well-being of all mankind, leveraging on technology, right? So we believe in technology. We believe in people, right? So hence, our aspiration is to see, like I mentioned before, a better, safer, cheaper, and surer healthcare services to the public in Malaysia, right? By adopting technology. So technology acts as a catalyst to enable us to provide, what I mentioned, the better, safer, surer, and quicker kind of, healthcare services to our patients, right? So if you imagine ourselves in Malaysia, and we look at what is happening in China right now, so probably in 5 years' time, this is what we envision that we will be like China in terms of the digital healthcare space, right? It can be totally, cashless, healthcare services. So look at China now, that probably will be in 3 to 5 years' time. This is what we are heading towards in Malaysia. So this is what we see. Yeah.
All right, that's great, Doctor. I'm looking forward to it as well. So before we end today's wonderful podcast, so perhaps you have any parting messages or last words of advice you give to our viewers?
Yeah. So to all my, fellow, future colleagues, and also potentially, my carers in the future as I grow old, I will strongly encourage you, to be open, as I mentioned before, be open to ideas, be open to opportunities, and most importantly, stick to what you believe in, why you enter medical school, right? The why is very important. How you're going to provide care to tomorrow's patient and providing the tomorrow's healthcare services. And if you have a dream, please go for it, right? Because when you are young, you have all the capital to go for it. So please, dream big and move. Because my last advice is, anyone with ideas, right? Because so many of you here, I'm sure a lot of you have a lot of ideas, but ideas are very cheap, right? And whatever ideas you think is super brilliant, I'm very sure there are still thousands of people in this world having the same idea as you thinking right now, right? But you're wondering, how come there's no such solution available in the market? Because no one execute it. So you can be the one executing this idea. So like we always say, to end this, ideas without execution is actually hallucination. Thank you.
All right, that was great advice, Doctor. Thank you so much. It was very motivating. So once again, on behalf of GodGem, I'd like to thank Dr. Raymond Choy for his time, but not only time, but the beneficial insights that he shared with us on the digital healthcare system. And we wish you all the best with doctors. Thank you so much for your time, Doctor.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you, everyone. All the best, and please stay safe, everyone. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Doctor.